So I was listening to a talk on masculinity recently, and the main point that I took away from it was that a true man is someone who subjects himself to the Lord. Who subjects himself to the Lord. And I was really struck by this because when the person said a true man is, I was thinking they were going to say something like, a protector or an initiator or something like that. And obviously that is part of what it means to be a man. But I was really struck by the fact that he said it's someone who subjects himself to the Lord first and foremost. And obviously those other things are there, but it's as though subjecting himself to the Lord is what will enable all the other aspects of manhood to flow forth from that. And obviously I think it's also true of women, that the thing that first and foremost makes a woman is someone who subjects themselves to the Lord. Now, the reason I'm saying this about this talk is that I think it gives us a really good lens through which to talk about Joseph most faithful and just faithfulness in general. Because obviously Saint Joseph is someone who is like an amazing example of someone who subjects himself to the Lord. And I think that very thing is what enables him to be faithful, to be most faithful. And faithful to God, faithful to Mary, and faithful to Jesus. Now, for me, when I think about what it means to be faithful, I think about, as I said, what I can do to subject myself to the Lord. I think those two things go hand in hand. And I think what I can do first and foremost is daily prayer. For me, I think this is the beginning of faithfulness. And when I talk about daily prayer, I don't necessarily mean like this specific consecration. I mean like a silent time with Jesus. That's a constant thing. Like a specific time during the day that I've set aside just to be silent with the Lord. And for me, the fact that I've committed to this each day for a certain amount of time, I think really helps me grow in faithfulness, because I'm doing it regardless of what I feel. And I think that's exactly what faithfulness is. It's a choice, it's a decision, regardless of whether we feel like doing it or not. And I think St. Joseph is a great example of that. Like if we think about when he was called to go to Egypt, I'm sure he didn't really feel like taking Jesus and Mary to Egypt. He probably felt like he had enough on his plate already, looking after the baby Jesus and taking care of Mary and his work and whatever else. However, he made the decision to do that, and he was faithful to that. Now, in living this commitment to daily prayer that I have in my life, I think this really helps me to also be faithful in other things. So the fact that I'm faithful to this commitment in prayer, it's then with other things in my day, even if I don't feel like it, because I've sort of trained myself, then I'm more likely to be faithful to those. And I think conversely, it also helps me in times of temptation, because again, I've trained myself to choose the good through this commitment to daily prayer, rather than choosing things based on feeling. So the last thing I wanted to say to do with faithfulness is that I think we can't overestimate how much of a witness faithfulness can be. In one of the recent gospel acclamations, we heard about the importance of being faithful until death. And obviously we know that Jesus is the ultimate example of that, being faithful until death, his sacrifice on the cross. And I think what we forget is that to a large extent, Jesus modeled his faithfulness off Saint Joseph's faithfulness. And that really shows how Joseph is most faithful. But I think it's also really encouraging for us to realize that when we are faithful to things like faithful to prayer, faithful to our spouse, or faithful to our work, or the certain things that are our responsibilities, that can really be such a powerful witness to others, even if we're not trying to be, or maybe especially if we're not trying to be.